latest exhibit showcased at Murfreesboro City Hall features the photography of Walter LeCroy.
Well, this exhibit is called 6 Decades, 5 Continents, 1 Eye, a retrospective of the photography of Walter LeCroy, who is my father. The exhibit will be on display until February 24th. Basically, in this exhibit, we wanted to just present his work over the last 60 years in terms of photography. He's been a lot of different places and done a lot of different things.
LeCroy's passion for photography began at an early age.
Well, probably about at the age of 6 when he took apart his parents' camera to see how it worked. But then, by the time he was 10 years old, and this would have been in 1945, he was already taking his own pictures and developing his own film. He built himself a little dark room and used a flashlight inside a red water glass to develop the film. By the time he was in high school, he was taking pictures that he sold to local newspapers.
LeCroy initially chose a field of study in college that could utilize his photography skills. But shortly after starting, he decided to take a different pathway, one that would lead to a lifelong career.
He actually started college majoring in journalism, thinking that he would want to go into photojournalism. But then he discovered that he had another passion, which was electronics, and he wound up graduating from Columbia with a BA in physics.
LeCroy worked in a lab for a number of years and eventually started his own company.
Well, after he graduated, he worked for a while at a lab owned by Columbia, a physics lab. And then in 1964, he opened his own company to design electronics equipment to be used in physics experiments and particle physics research. And basically they would detect particles.
His work in electronics would take him all over the world, and his camera was always with him.
As Dad traveled around the world for his company and visited these labs everywhere from CERN in Switzerland, and later on he went to Japan a lot. He's been to China, to France, lots of time in England. He always had his camera with him, and he was always taking pictures. So whether it was the landscape in all these different places, or the people, or the lifestyle, or anything that grabbed his interest, or the insides of linear accelerators that he was looking at for his company, he took pictures.
When asked about what inspired him in photography, aspects of his career seemed to be connected.
One of the biggest sort of, I guess, areas was patterns, forms and patterns. And he not only saw the forms, but also he liked to take pictures of things where there was an obvious pattern, but then it was broken by something that was kind of incongruous. In the late 90s, when flatbed scanners came on the market, especially the higher resolution ones, he did a whole series of what he called botanicals, which is basically getting flowers and leaves and then scanning them in very high resolution scans and blowing them up to much larger than life size, where every detail would show. So you could see things that you would never have seen without those pictures.
With 6 decades of photographs that span all over the world, it may be tough to choose a favorite, but May says there is one on display that stands out to her father.
I suspect that if you asked that question on a different day, you might get a different answer, as many times as you asked it. But I have heard him say that the one that's called Gull Bay Boats, with the AKA of Joy at Rest, he has said that one is his favorite of all time.
LeCroy also never let the word can't stop him in whatever he did.
At a lot of times in his life, people have told him, that can't be done. And he just went and did it anyway. I mean, he just did it. If he thought he could do it, he just went and did it.
6 decades, 5 continents, 1 eye, the photography of Walter LeCroy will be on display at City Hall until February 24th.